asunto en el que la sociedad civil siempre ha jugado un papel fundamental.
La sociedad civil.
Zivilgesellschaft. Civil society.
The Grassroots View, an EESC podcast.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the Grassroots View from the European Economic and Social Committee, the EESC. I'm Paul Anderson. Now close your eyes, stretch your mind, and imagine what's been spoken about here.
There's so much hype around it all. On the one hand, economic growth, unlocking innovation, potential new efficiencies and things we don't even know about yet, answers to questions that we've not even posed. And on the other side, human rights frameworks. That just seems like it's an impediment to all of that good. We need to just totally reframe that and really think about enabling true innovation based on a foundation of trust.
Here are some hints. Google, TikTok, GDPR, artificial intelligence. Well done if you guessed all things digital, and in particular digital transformation. As expert on technology and human rights, Tanya O'Carroll just mentioned there, that was her voice you heard, we're on the cusp of something revolutionary. So big, it's one of the European Union's main priorities for the Commission presidency of Ursula von der Leyen. Something which has the power to transform our industries, our societies, our lives, or indeed to rubbish all of that in a money-driven quest by big tech for ever larger amounts of our data and ever greater control over our natural preferences and choices. This is the focus of our podcast today at Digital Europe between regulation and innovation. As well as Tanya, we're joined by members from all three of the EESC's groups representing employers, workers and civil society organisations. Respectively, they are Gonçalo Lobo Xavier, EESC Employers Group member representing the Portuguese Business Confederation, Franca Salles Madinier, EESC Vice President of the Workers Group and of the Digital Transition and Single Market Observatory, Giuseppe Guerini, EESC Civil Society Group member and President of the European Confederation of Industrial and Service Cooperatives. We're joined also by the Brussels-based independent journalist specialising in technology, politics and digital legislation, Jennifer Baker. A very warm welcome to you all. Tanya, you've kicked us off there very nicely. Let's develop the theme. What are some of the advances in digital transformation, and what are the things that keep you awake at night?
So I think what we've got is a series of trends in digital transformation that are all kind of converging. One of them is the sort of expansion of, through the Internet of Things and through the fact that everything now can be a sensor. When you're driving a car, and the company that's manufactured that car is no longer only thinking about how do they build a car that is going to be able to get you from A to B and be safe for you to drive, but they're also now thinking about how do they extract as much data as possible from you so that they can unlock all of the potential innovation that may come from, let's say, car location data. Then you suddenly find yourself in a different world. And there are just huge consequences. As it moves into many other industries and sectors, that there are just a lot of concerns from a privacy perspective and from a sort of individual rights perspective. But then you add in other trends like the expansion of machine learning and AI that can unlock greater insights from all of that data that has ever been possible before.
Jennifer Baker, what's your take on the state of digital transformation so far?
Access to high-speed internet is still an issue in some sort of outlying regions of the EU. And that was something I think that during the pandemic was brought home to a lot of people as everyone tried to move towards online schooling and online working. I think there's been a lot of work done in the recent years as a cause of the pandemic to actually build up a bit of resilience in those networks for individuals to use them. It's about bringing the digital tools into the classroom and getting younger kids very familiar with using them, and also getting them to understand the nature and the way these tools are set up so that they can kind of interrogate the technologies in a knowledgeable way as they grow up and not be overly reliant on tools designed by someone else. So there is a lot of work still to be done, and 2030 is really not that far away when you think about digital terms and terms of getting the right regulation frameworks, interoperability standards and so on in place.
This reference to 2030 is relevant, as this is the deadline the EU has set for itself for the first phase of Europe's digital transformation, Gonzalo Lobo Xavier, your area at the EESC is the employers group. What would you pick out as the standout advance or change?
Digitalization of our communication systems, of our services, it's as an importance, of course, for our European way of life. But I think every member state is worried about the rural areas, for example, or areas that are not so developed. I think the digitalization would be one of the key answers to invest in rural areas and to create a good atmosphere to attract people to visit, to live, to work in rural areas under this new idea of teleworking and under this new idea of go back to reality, go back to roots. And so the digitalization is therefore, I would simply say, as a tool to enable investment, to enable people to live in rural areas, to create new businesses without losing the centrality of a big city or without losing the centrality of a business and the connectivity. I live in Portugal, which is a lovely country, but it's a little bit unbalanced between the interior, the rural areas in the interior of the country and the coast side. The rural areas are getting a little bit depressed in the sense that the aging of the people, the aging of the population, the fact that the rural areas are more oriented to agriculture, and agriculture today means modernity, means digitalization, means technology. And so it's quite important for my country to invest in infrastructure that allow people to live with quality, invest with quality and smart activities that can create and motivate the investment in these areas in order to change a little bit this unbalanced process.
So that's one aspect, but if you look at performance of our tech sector, the training, the level of education, resources and opportunities at its disposal, it seems strange, doesn't it, that there isn't a company to compete with any of the Silicon Valley giants. Why is that?
Well, that's a million-euro question, I would say, and I don't think I have the correct answer, but I can say some tips about it. First, it's a matter of culture. I think we are very good with innovation. We have tremendous universities, we have tremendous technological centers, but we don't have the same ability as the geographical regions in the world to profit from this kind of innovation. We have not the ability to transform innovation into business. And it's a mixture between the ability, the culture, and the leverage of investment. The leverage of financial investment is a decision-making thing that Europe is trying to address. But the ability to transform innovation in profitable business is something that needs to be taught in the universities and back in school.